That was fantastic.
Thanks very much.
Right, tell me, how is this to sing, this song?
It's quite difficult. Yeah, it's kind
You
of...
look like you're working quite hard there.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a sweat on. It's kind of... That's what makes it what it is, I think.
When I first heard that, I sent you a message and said, that's fantastic. And you said, was it joyous?
Yeah, there's a lot of joy. It's the most difficult thing to do as a songwriter, I think, particularly in this day and age. It's very easy to pick up a guitar and sing about the news and Donald Trump and all that stuff. But to actually get untamed joy in a song is almost revolutionary these days.
How long did it take to write then?
It came together over 18 months. I mean, the way I made this record was I went to Belfast...
You're out of breath, I'm sorry, making you speak after doing that song. I'm really sorry.
2014. And then we did loads of bits of music and then I took them away on tour. I wrote a lot of this walking down Baker Street, actually.
Did you?
One afternoon. I find that if I'm stuck with the song, particularly the lyrics and that, if I go for a walk, you know, I nearly got run over a couple of times making this record, I got to say.
It's a very busy road, Baker Street. It's not very colourful or creative either. It's like loads of buses.
I don't even know what I was doing on Baker Street, but you know, where just before you get to Selfridges, there's that park where is the actual home of MCC cricket ground or something. Right there.
Just there?
Yeah, just there.
So you were on your way to Selfridges, is the truth, probably?
Yes, I probably was on the way to Selfridges or the other shop across the road that sells the beds.
But why was it important to have a song that was joyous? Like you say, it's very easy. There was a lot to be grim and sad about at the moment.
Well, I wouldn't say it was important, but the backing tracks themselves just lended themselves to that kind of thing, you know. She Taught Me How to Fly, and there's a track called Keep On Reaching on the album, and Holy Mountain. When I'm writing songs, I'm just waiting for a suggestion from the music of what that might be. And they just suggested good times to me, you know, and that's where the difficult thing comes in, because you've decided what it's going to be, and it's difficult to get that joyous thing in the lyrics and in the delivery and all that, yeah.
So how is life at the moment?
Life is good. We want to get out on the road, get ready to go, but we've kind of, I gave myself a few months, really, before we go out next year. So these guys have got time off where I'm under a mountain of promo.
Which is always the best part of the job as well, doing the promo, talking about the record, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, if only we were talking about the record, that would be nice.
Is it 10 strong in the band? I was just looking around the room trying to count.
There is. Catering can get a bit mobbed.
We played Mott the Hoople at the beginning of this hour. Why did you choose for us to play that? Because you've chosen the songs that we're playing tonight.
When Holy Mountain came out, everyone was saying it sounds like this, it sounds like that. It actually sounds like Mott the Hoople to me, you know what I mean, with the horns and that. They're a great band, and I was off them.
On my fact sheet here, it says when they appeared on Top of the Pops to play that, the drummer, Dale Buffin Griffin, is his name.
Dale Buffin Griffin?
Dale,
yeah.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah, he used to work here.
I used to work here.
Oh my gosh. Dale Griffin, actually, I know exactly who you mean, yes. Anyway, apparently he played the drums with two pool cues when he was on Top of the Pops. That's a good fact.
Miming, though.
But he was miming, of course he was miming.
We've got to get Chris some chopsticks.
Let's play another track of your choice then. How about the Jacksons? Should we do that?
Oh, yeah. Before I went away, we were watching the Top of the Pops thing on BBC 4, whatever it is. And there's a 1984 rundown. And on the bit where the crowd are just dancing on the outro, they're playing State of Shock by the Jacksons and Mick Jagger. And I'm sitting there thinking, is that Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson? So I Shazammed it. And there it was. And I was thinking, that's kind of a thing that just fell by the wayside. It wasn't even a massive hit. But I love it because Mick Jagger's at his most ridiculous. And Michael Jackson is being at his most ridiculous. But I love that sound.
From the album Heathen Chemistry, that is Little by Little, from Noel Gallagher, who's here playing a session for us at Maida Vale. Do you remember the first time you came to Maida Vale when you were here?
It was the first day that Alan McGee had heard Supersonic.
Ah, yeah.
He was in this room. We'd had a very heavy night the night before, and I was offered up to be the singer because, surprise, surprise, somebody hadn't turned up. And
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think we ended up doing an acoustic session as opposed to a full band session.
When that used to happen, in the very beginning, did it alarm you or worry you, or did you get scared, or how did you feel?
I just felt a little bit let down, but we soldiered on, do you know what I mean? And in the long run, it made me write more songs for me to sing, because I thought, if this is going to go on, then, you know, we're going to have at least half an hour set to cobble these gigs together. But at the time, I was probably furious, yeah.
I would have imagined you'd be quite nervous, because you didn't want to be the the singer in the beginning, did you? You didn't want to be the front man.
No, I couldn't sing. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be the lead guitarist either. I couldn't do that. But like no one else was, having a go. But
it is interesting because it did completely push you and change the course of your life.
Well, it did. Yeah. I mean, my first ever gig, ever as a singer, was for MTV Unplugged, in front of all those people in the Royal Festival Hall. Wagbo, as we're in the corridor, decides he's not going to do it, and we're just like, oh.
I remember that so distinctly because as an early interviewer and fan of yours, it was a massive deal. We queued all the way down the road to go into that, and it was just the atmosphere was a real frisson. And then we sat there waiting, and then it became apparent that there was something going on, and then you walked out on your own. I remember just sitting there really feeling quite scared for you, but
we hadn't rehearsed it or anything, so it was kind of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm very stubborn, and I'm like, well, I'll do it. And then it's captured for forever now. But at the time, I was again probably in a fury because he turned up to see the gig but didn't do the gig, because he had in inverted commas a sore throat. I was like, oh, poor flower.
So he actually watched. Could you see him watching it?
I couldn't see him. No, I only seen it on the footage back.
Why would he do that? But how could he watch you? How could he watch you?
I don't know. You'd have to speak to him.
I just can't imagine what that was like for you. But in hindsight, great.
no, I mean, after that, you don't get nervous after that because no one's there to see me. We're kind of approaching being the biggest band in the world at that point. And it was a funny old couple of days, I've got to say, after that.
Yeah. How do you decide? Because you're doing little by little now when you do your own shows. So how have you gone through your back catalogue and decided what you want to play?
I usually sit at home and think and play them. If I can find my way into the song and it feels good that I'm singing it, then I'll do it. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks after that. No.
Okay, Grandmaster Flash then, why are we playing this?
It came on my stereo at home while I was away in South America. And I was like, the 80s is a much maligned decade, right? For peroxide hair and questionable linen clothes, right? But when you think about it, it's probably the most progressive decade of music ever. You went from new wave or the back end of punk all the way through to acid house and the Stone Roses, like Fool's Gold, you know what I mean? And all points in between. It's a pretty astonishing decade. And nothing, if you take the biggest hit singles from the last decade, I guarantee you they all sound the same. You take the biggest singles from they all sound different and everybody looked different. This is why we kind of watch Top of the Pops and, we're always like, did you see, Dexy's Midnight Runners? It was brilliant.
Okay, let's play it. This is Grandmaster Flash. White Lines, Don't Do It. Came out in 1983, covered famously, of course, by Duran Duran in 1995.
Some say the most superior version.
Not me.
No, me neither. But Simon Le Bon probably thinks it's better.
What was going on with you in the 80s? How old were you?
I left school in 83 at 15. What was going on? Not a great deal. It wasn't the best of times up north. No one had any work. But strangely, everything was a lot simpler. You were just getting through each day and each week and living for the weekend. You were 15 when you left school? I'm one of those kids where my birthday falls, so I was always the youngest in my year, so I was 15, yeah. I didn't, walk out. I mean, I was asked to leave on the last day, which I thought was a bit petty. Do you know what I mean? It's like what were you like? No, what were you like at school? What was your school report like? A stranger, if you ask any of my teachers, they're kind of like, I kind of remember that guy. But my mum was a dinner lady, and I came up with this system of kind of leaving to go to school, going off doing other things, going in for my lunch, and there she was. And then when she finally got a letter off the school saying, has he been kidnapped or something? Because we haven't seen him for 4 months. She's like, I've seen him every day. But that's when I got grounded, as they call it now. But luckily enough, that's when I started to learn to play the guitar, because I had nothing better to do. For all of us growing up, music was it. There was no other social media, phones, iPads, Netflix, all that kind of thing. There was nothing. There was... When Channel 4 was invented, it was kind of like, man, this is like Star Trek gear. This is like another television channel. And music was it. And we used to watch Top of the Pops to see what people are wearing almost. And see, it's all right listening to the jam on the radio, but to see what those guys are wearing and the crowd are wearing, it was such an important thing. And there was no distraction. It was music, football, and that was it. So what do you prefer? Would you prefer to be a child growing up now, or do you think that you were the lucky one growing up when you did? I think everybody thinks they grew up in the best decade, don't they? Children growing up now, they don't know what went on. So my daughter's 17. So So she's having a whale of a time. You know what I mean? She's like, it cannot have been any better than this. You know, as she's ordering an Uber, she's going, how can it be a bit better than this? Standing on a street corner, we have to walk everywhere.
But what about the bombardment of...
But they're used to it. The kids kind of... Your kids are the same. They kind of grow up with it. So it's nothing to them, you know. So when you regale them tales of the bleakness and of the nothing to do, they kind of open mouths and flabbergasted.
They just pity us, really, probably more than anything.
Yeah, but which is why our generation picked up guitars, where they've got so much going on now, kids, that with social media and all that kind of thing. She was round at mine at the weekend with a friend of hers. They've got another language has appeared for like names for parties, and it's just like, what are you talking about? And they were like, we're talking about parties and stuff. And it's like they're almost talking Vulcan. It's just like, what are you going on about? It's amazing.
Right, let's have another track from you. This is from the new album, Who Built the Moon. Yep. We've had Holy Mountain already. This one, It's a Beautiful World. Anything we need to know before you play this?
Charlotte over there is going to announce what a beautiful world it is. All you need to know is that it's brilliant. That's it.
From the new album, Who Built the Moon, Noel Gallagher. That was It's a Beautiful World, featuring Charlotte on Megaphone and Scissors. This Charlotte's a scissor player that we saw on later with Jules Holland.
She is the scissor queen.
You look so happy with this band. Like you just smiled over when she was just doing the Megaphone thing, and you just feel like this feels really right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For you?
And we've just done 5 weeks with U2 in South America, and we had a great time. There's a good vibe about it all, and you know, being in a band and being on tour, all that kind of thing is what you make it, you know, and it can be made the most miserable experience in the world. And everybody that has ended up in this lineup is a good laugh and good at what they do and can play hard and, you know.
Party hard.
Yeah, and party hard too, yeah. So
I'm guessing you learned all of this from the band that you just mentioned, being on tour with U2. You learn lessons, don't you?
The lessons I learned off them, I learned watching them do Acton Baby a long, long time ago. We've gone way past that now. They're just very, very close friends.
Yeah.
If you consider that all bands have a built-in time bomb, when you start when you're young, and then the older that you get, you all lead separate lives and wives and all that kind of thing. How they've kept going is a miracle, because all the great bands at some point implode, you know, or members leave and all that. And more power to them, and God bless them.
So it's Noel here, Noel Gallagher, playing live at Maida Vale at the moment. So the new album, tell me about David Holmes. When did you first meet him? When was your relationship born?
I met him right in the middle of my first solo album tour, and me and Primal Scream did a festival together in Jersey, and he'd produced their album, and he was hanging out with them, and he came along to the gig, and we were in my dressing room, and we both went for the same bottle of wine, I think. And he was like, oh, I'm David Holmes. And I had all his records. And I was like, no way. And we chatted about his music and my music. And then when I was just at the beginning phase of Chasing Yesterday. And the plan was to get a producer to kind of try and help me take it somewhere else. And I called him, and he came to London, and I played him the songs. And he said, oh, they're already finished, you know. So you go and finish that off yourself. And I said, oh, I was really planning to make a record with you, though. And he said, well, the way I work is I like to be there when it's being written, you know, so I can throw different ideas at you. So what I did was I would work for like 4 or 5 weeks on Chasing Yesterday, then go to Belfast, started this. So they were running concurrently at the same time. He's a dude, man. I mean, he's a great DJ. He's got impeccable taste. What he did do was he kept it from me that he was a Man United fan until after the album was mastered. Every time we mentioned City or United, he'd kind of mumble something and go and, you know, fix a valve somewhere or get a synth out. And I was like, I bet he's a filthy red. So when the album finished, I said to him, are you a Man United fan? And he said, not only that, I love Alex Ferguson. And I was like, mate, it's a good job this record's been made, because you'd be out the door.
Relationship done.
Yeah. But
so how did he push you?
The main thing that I remember was I'd be writing, and he would say, oh, no, that sounds like Oasis, you don't do that. And then I would say, oh, no, that sounds like High Flying Birds, you don't want to do that. And he would be constantly, if he thought he'd heard me do it before, it would go gone. There's one song there I wrote 8 choruses for, and when I played him the 8th one, I was about to say, I don't care what you say now, because this is it. And he said, that's it. That's amazing. More like that, and getting me to try different things. You'd say, can you play the keyboards? And I'm like, not really. And he'd say, right, well, we're going to play keyboards all day then. We entered into it with the spirit of adventure. And he said, if we're gonna do it, you've just got to, you know, see where it goes. And we did, and that was it. The key for me was I was making Chasing Yesterday concurrently. So that became the anchor, and thinking, well, if this never sees the light of day, or I fail to pull it off, I've got that. No one will be any the wiser. I never announced I was working with him until we knew we were going to finish it. But it was great. It was a real eye-opener, and he's constantly pushing it forward. I don't think he even knew where it was going, but he was kind of the unknown was appealing to him. It was 4 years making it. I only really got on board after about 18 months when I thought, I think I know what he's going on about now. For the 18 months, I was whistling in the dark. I've got to say, I was kind of going to work thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here. I really don't know what I'm doing.
But you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it was great.
What about extracurricular things? Was it ping pong? Was it darts? Was there stuff that you did hanging out together?
Well, we were backstage once, and this mob here had commandeered a room for a table tennis table, and I happened to walk past and was like, that's got to go. It's not a health club. It's not a leisure centre. We're here to play music, so there's none of that goes on. Do you know what? I did karaoke for the first time in Colombia, in Bogota.
Okay.
Smashed it, got the highest score.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I did, it was a Beatles song. I think it was Can't Buy Me Love. But there is a rumour that me and Bono had done kung fu fighting. But it's not been captured on film, so I'm saying it kind of never happened.
Couldn't possibly have happened, but in our dreams, maybe that happened. Kung fu fighting.
The next day I said, do you remember doing kung fu fighting? He went, no. So the girls are saying we did kung fu fighting. It was like ludicrous. We both remember.
Right, let's hear from you then. This is from the new album, Who Built the Moon? This is She Taught Me How to Fly. Sounded good, sounded very good indeed. From the new album, Who Built the Moon? It is Noel Gallagher, and She Taught Me How to Fly. Noel, can we hear your gig diaries, please? So just a few questions about gigs that you've done in the past. So the first gig that you ever played, remember where that was?
At the Boardwalk in 1991 with Oasis.
How many people in the audience?
7. First time I'd ever played guitar standing up.
Okay. And how did it go?
Still here. Going all right in a minute.
Tell us about the gig that you did when there was someone incredibly famous in the audience that was actually a little bit daunting. 2 gigs.
The first time we played in LA at the Whiskey, Ringo was there, and we did a gig maybe a couple of years afterwards, and Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols was stood staring at me playing guitar, it was like weirding me out, man. I was kind of like, you Steve Jones? He was like, yeah. I was like, no way, a Sex Pistol. It was unbelievable.
Wow. Did you meet him afterwards?
Yeah, I know him now. Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, we did his radio show and all that. He's amazing.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a proper dude. Yeah, he's funny guy.
The gig where something went terribly wrong, disastrously wrong.
Oh, as opposed to the singer not turning up. That's not bad enough.
Be hard to choose.
The middle night at Heaton Park where the generator broke down 3 times, tried to get the gig going 3 times, and then somebody said, if it breaks down again, we should probably offer the people their money back. Although no one forgot to tell Liam, and he offered the crowd their money back before it broke, and he never broke down, and we were like, it cost us like an actual metric ton of money.
Serious?
I've never forgiven him. Never, he still owes me that
one of
money.
many things, right?
Yeah.
The gig that's meant the most to you in your life?
Main Road, probably. It felt like we'd signed off the dole and become a stadium rock band. And I personally never really got into the mindset of being in a stadium rock band until like 1998. If you look at those early gigs, there's not even a video screen to be. It was just like a load of guys playing on stage. And now, I mean, it's like do a stadium now, it's like you have to have the bells and whistles. We had the same crew and everything. And those were special, like mad, crazy times when you feel like you're on a rocket. And it's unbelievable.
What's it like now when you do a gig, when you come off stage? Because life is very different. It's not quite so hedonistic. I know it probably is. You have a lot of fun and stuff.
We pick and choose our battles, yeah. It's good. I like it.
Sam Smith has spoken recently about like it's quite dark actually and quite lonely when you walk off stage sometimes.
It's the opposite. It's actually very light and annoyingly unlonely with this mob. There's 10 of us in the same dressing room. What are you talking about?
All right, you're going to do for the final song, Half the World Away for us. Where does this take you back to? What are your memories of this?
At the weekend, I went up to Manchester because CBS America, the TV station, is doing a documentary on me, right? So we managed to get access to the flat where I wrote Definitely Maybe and Morning Glory. And as I'm stood on the steps waiting for the guy to come down with the film crew, one of those Manchester rock and roll tours comes round the corner, right? And stand at the front step, and there's a guy going, and this is where, and you know what? No one recognised me. I was just kind of stood there thinking, oh God, there's going to be loads of selfies now. And there was a woman almost saying, can I get out of the way, please? I'm trying to take a picture of the front door here. And no one recognised me at all.
Oh my God, what a missed opportunity.
When it moved on down Whitworth Street to the Hacienda, one woman kind of came back and she went, are you Liam Gallagher? And I said, I wish I was.
Did it feel weird going back there?
I can assure you that standing in that room, the room itself had nothing to do with the genius that came out of it. It was kind of like tiny little room. But it was quite the thing. I was in my old bedroom and I sat and stared out that window for hours a day. And yeah, it wasn't weird. I remember writing Rock and Roll Star in there, but not on an acoustic, on an electric guitar with a Marshall stack in the thing. And the guy underneath me banging with a brush. And I seen him years later and he said, I always knew you had it. I was like, well, you didn't, because you tried to kick my door in once.